Who are these people? Who are the ones that are in positions of government, education, medicine, and even religion? Well, I'm about to attempt to show you someone here. But in order to do so, we're going back to the 1950s. Longines chronoscope aired 1951, 1952, 1953. Somewhere in that era. It was on for about 15 minutes. And it was an attempt to introduce to the viewing public various significant leaders. And in this particular interview, it will be with Robert Moses, who is a well-known city planner. But it's not Robert Moses that we're interested in. I'll explain to you in just a minute. Now I put it in a not super fast speed, but faster than normal, so that when you hear the person speaking, they will be a little bit speaking in hyperspeed.
It's time for the Longines Chronoscope, a television journal of the important issues of the hour, brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A presentation of the Longines Whitnor Watch Company, maker of Longines, the world's most honored watch, and Whitnor, distinguished companion to the world-honored Longines. Good evening, this is Frank Knight. May I introduce our co-editors for this edition of the Longines Chronoscope? Mr. William Bradford Huey, noted author and analyst, and Mr. Hardy Burt.
Mr. Hardy Burt of Longines Chronoscope is none other than, well, you look at him, you might actually see him, is Billy Graham. That's right, I said Billy Graham.
And correspondent. Our distinguished guest for this evening is Mr. Robert Moses, the nation's foremost city planner.
Mr. Moses, of course, you've had many years of experience in New York.
Now, Billy Graham, or Hardy Burt, is rather not extremely quiet, but more quiet than the other interviewer. And by the way, these are called co-editors. Okay? And this is your main guest, Robert Moses. And this is Hardy Burt. The one I'm saying plays Billy Graham.
The city and state, as a planner of parkways and housing, I'm sure that our viewers tonight would like to hear you talk about some of the public planning problems, particular traffic and housing and parkways. Now, sir, how does the nation stand as regards road building? Are we falling behind on roads, or are we keeping up?
Oh, we're way behind. We've been falling behind steadily for years, and now the situation is more or less desperate. The fact is that unless we launch a new program, a much larger program, we're going to face a situation where we can't accommodate the output of cars.
Is some of that due to the Second War, sir, and to the money spent there?
To stoppage of, almost complete stoppage of road building during the Second World War, but it's been a steady, we've been falling behind steadily.
When you say the situation is desperate now, sir, could you estimate for our viewers how much money it would take spent by the entire nation, states, cities, and country? How much it would take to catch
between 45 and 55 billion dollars. So that isn't a figure. Those aren't figures taken out of the air. They represent the adding up the programs of the several states as approved by the federal government.
How far is New York State, for instance, behind, the one that you are particularly concerned with?
Well, our program involves an expenditure of about $3 billion, close to $3.5 billion.
Well, how long do you think it'll take before we do have a modern road?
That's Billy Graham. Okay, I'm going to try to zero in on him and enlarge him a little bit. Now, one of the things that I often notice that many people don't notice and they don't care too much about is hair patterns. And I know it sounds a little silly, but I've got a photo here of Billy Graham from his book Just As I Am, and I've noticed the pattern on the forehead up here is basically identical. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to put that photo next to him. And then I'm going to attempt to allow you to see that pattern, and I'll try to show it to you again a couple times. So I apologize that it's not the best, and my ways are not perfect, and my ways are not always extremely in line with modern technology, but I'll try to stop it every now and then and let you see that hair pattern is pretty much basically the same. I'm talking about the hairline and the scalp and where the hair meets the forehead, etc. So we'll get back to the interview, and I'll pause it every now and then. Now you're looking at Billy Graham right there. This would be in the 50s. Billy Graham appears on the scene late 40s, and he's puffed by the newspaper editor Hearst. Hearst says, "Puff Graham." In other words, I can make this happen. And Graham will become a celebrity within a matter of a year or two. And that's mostly due to the efforts of the newspapers and magazines.
System to meet the needs of present-day traffic in the United States. Is there any way to hazard a guess on that?
Well, if you mean how long would it take if we had enough money, I suppose that we could catch up within a period of 8 to 12 years, not less than 8 years, because there's a limit to the amount of construction you can do in 1 year without simply stopping the wheels from moving at all.
Well, it's been said that many of our roads, even the new ones, are going to pieces faster than new ones can be built. Is there any validity to that statement?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that if you spent somewhere between $45 and $55 million in a period of 8 to 12 years, and it's done intelligently under federal supervision, that we'd be in pretty good shape, assuming that the output of cars remained just about what it is today.
Do you see any chance of that much money being spent?
Okay, once again back to the hair pattern. I'll try again to show you. I may even try another different photo too. I'll show you pic triib too. That's one of my big things. Now zero in on the photo. You can see how there's like a curvature here, curves, and that curvature matches right here. Right here. So if you wait a minute, let me try another photo. And if you hang in there with me, I really want you to know I appreciate it, because I'm not an expert. I like making videos. I'm just thrilled if one person is thrilled with me and appreciates my work. I'm just thrilled. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll hold off on that for just a moment. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I couldn't find it. It's Billy Graham with Dr. Martin Luther King, who, by the way, is Sidney Poitier. In case you didn't know that. Dr. Martin Luther King is Sidney Poitier. He's an actor too. They're all actors. All right, I'm going to continue on with this and then get you some more evidence, because you're probably not too excited about hairlines and foreheads and stuff like that. So we'll go on with this a little bit more.
I don't see how we can escape doing it.
Actually, one of the ways we're trying to relieve this problem, of course, sir, is through building these great toll roads in the country, like the New York Thruway. Now, could you illustrate for us some of the problems using the New York Thruway as an example? How much will that road cost, sir?
I think it will cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $750 million.
And how is that financed? Is that the
That is
taxpayer's
financed
debt?
by the issuance of bonds, which, however, have the state credit back of them up to $500 million. Beyond that, there won't be any state credit back of the bonds.
Well, now, are these toll roads paying off? Are they,
Yes.
do people who invest their money get it back?
Actually, they're paying better than most people expected.
Mr. Moses, aren't they proving pretty dangerous, too, these superhighways and parkways?
Okay, once again, the interviewer there, Hardy Burt, is Billy Graham.
The rate of accident on them higher than on other types of roads?
No, the rate of accident is higher where the speed limit hasn't been held down to proper limits. And, of course, there are other factors such as climate and fog and snow and all that sort of thing. But the people who built the original expressway, such as the Pennsylvania Turnpike, announced that there would be no speed limit. And then the accidents were simply terrific, and then they put a speed limit on that was too high, and gradually that's going to be brought down to some kind of reasonable limits.
Of course, to build these roads, you have to move a lot of people's homes, don't you, sir?
Yes, especially in urban communities, and urban and suburban communities. That is one of the big
Could
problems.
you give us any indication of how many homes will have to be moved in building the New York Thruway?
Well, the New York Thruway is, I would say, 3/4 of it is in open territory where there's no problem. The other 1/4, I wouldn't know how many. But in New York City, on the approaches to the Thruway system, there are really two Thruways. One goes up to Buffalo and out west, and one goes to New England, goes east of New England through Westchester and Fairfield County, Connecticut. I would say that there are about, on those two approaches, about 10,000 people.
Well, on the road question, sir, could you tell us, you of course, are a national authority.
Okay, I want to use this right here to show you the interviewer, Hardy Burt, is rather tall and slender. You can see that. He's slouched over a little bit, but when he gets upright a little more, he's a lot taller than the other co-editor.
What state has been most progressive in planning new highways?
You can see there's a little bit of height difference there. Billy Graham's always been a little bit tall and slender.
Well, it'd be hard to say. I would put California up way up on near the top of the list.
Well, moving on down to the next category in which you've had so much experience, sir, the building of parks. How does our country compare with other countries in the world in building city parks?
Well, I think that most of the country is broad, and I would not include South America in this particular discussion. Inherited parks, which were originally big estates, and they have very fine, large parks, but inadequate playgrounds.
That's Robert Moses,
for local parks and
the city
playgrounds.
planner,
Our parks aren't
supposedly,
adequate by any
probably
means
just
in
an
most of the
actor
cities of this country,
too.
I suppose, are they?
No.
Adequate in terms of what, then?
likes to talk with his hands. Billy Graham will develop a lot of hand movements and hand gestures in his career in preaching.
Room for
In
children
terms
to
of
play?
the number of people who have to be accommodated.
Could you give us some illustrations, sir, as far as New York City is concerned, as to how parks have been developed? How many do you have now, and how many did you have 10 years ago?
Well, I'd rather take a little bit longer period, but in the time since I've been connected with the city park department, I think we have about between 4 and 5 times as many recreation facilities as we did, say, 19 or 20 years ago.
In your thinking about parks, sir, and you said that we are becoming a nation of older people.
Okay, I'm going to turn the
In planning
sound
parks now,
off
are
and
you
just
assuming
talk a
that we'll
little
have
bit
more
as the interview goes on. Now, this would be like a training ground for Billy Graham. So many of the television evangelists actually are in the entertainment field or the news field. So, for example, Tony Evans is just the old Richard Pryor. And the game show host, I forget his name, but anyhow, Richard Pryor. That's Tony Evans, all right? And then you have many others, and I've exposed many others. But all the ones on television that get all the views for their sermons and their services are basically just actors. They either come out of like the news world or the comedy world or game show world. Now, while he's doing this, he's also going out conducting, quote, crusades. And the crusades will get lots of help by the media, because the media is 100% controlled by the Kabbalists. I also believe that for a lot of the Billy Graham crusades, the order goes out into the community to all the Mason lodges, probably within maybe 150 miles of where the crusade is done, and then those Masons show up along with their family and friends, and hence Billy Graham has always drawn a crowd. Hence it might be a good place to reinsert another photograph of Billy Graham and put it right next to that. Back to the photograph with one that we know is Dr. Martin Luther King. He's really just Sidney Poitier. Just trying to get you some light there, and that's probably not doing a very good job. So I'm not sure what kind of light you got with this. So I'm just trying to put this photo next to it, just to give you some idea of what just ordinary photos look like next to what you're seeing now. Hang on there. And I do realize this is rather crude, but I don't mind if you don't mind. And anybody that wants to click off and click on some other video, go right ahead. I'm well aware of all you folks that can't stand anything past 5 minutes, and that you can't stand anything short of perfection. So it's okay by me if you want to click on and click off and click out. Boy, here's one now. Oh, wow. You'll be glad you waited for this one. as we explore together, trying to get this set up so you can see the patterns here. This is pretty good. Pretty good. In fact, it's almost perfect. Almost perfect. I say almost, I mean almost. I don't mean it is perfect, I just mean it's almost perfect. Just trying to get you in touch with hair patterns. And I know they're not a perfect way of doing things, but I'll tell you what, I've found them to be very, very helpful. Now look here how this is like this here. Almost cut with a number 7, and maybe that is intentional. And then right here, same thing. Then a little bit of a ridge out, and a little bit of ridge over, and down. The hair pattern is almost perfect as far as matching. Okay, the Billy Graham photo on the right, Billy Graham in latter years, and the photo of Hardy Burt on the left from the Longines chronoscope hour, 1950s, early 1950s. So what I'm going to do, now I'm going to go to one more thing, and if you've been hanging in there with me, I do want to thank you, as I do realize that what I do is not perfect and could be a little bit irritating for people, to say the least. So let's go to the Pictraev. Now, what you're looking at is the Pictraev when I attempted to put in the photo of Hardy Burt. The Pictraev will give me the statistic on the match, but it will not allow the photo to go in and be visible. Very, very interesting. So on the left is Billy Graham. On the right, where you see the 0 with the dash in it, that is where I have the photo of Hardy Burt, and I'll show you that photo. Looking for it. There it is in the corner. right there in the corner. I could only find one to download. Okay, so that's the photo I put in the Pictrive, which gave these results. And notice, it would not allow the photo to come up. Now that's interesting. And I do think that that actually occurs when you've really hit a big bonanza, or you've scored big time, okay? Okay, so that photo went in here of Hardy Burt, and that photo matches Billy Graham 52%. All right? So I had someone ask me, how much of a match do you need on Pictrive in order to show it? Is 50% good enough? And I said, yeah, basically yes. Because there's a lot of prosthetics that are used and so forth. Sometimes the angle that it's taken, sometimes the age, sometimes the style of hair, etc. Anything like up in the 75% is really remarkable. And I've had some of them go up as high as 90%. And those are like ding, 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 ding. But 50% gives you a pretty good indication that, yeah, you're looking at the same individual. Now, is it perfect? No. Is what I just did perfect? No. Will I ever be able to bring anything to you that's perfect? No. Do I do my best to try to show you what I see? Yes. Do I give you results that I think are fairly accurate? Yes. Am I hungering and thirsting after truth? Yes. Do I realize that all the world around us is phony? Yes. Is there anyone else out there that's also on the same page, in a sense, trying to tell you that the world around you is phony? Yes. How many? Very few. Very few. And I want to be one of the few that are trying to tell you you've been hoaxed, you've been lied to. Now, what can you do about it? Basically, seek out truth, love truth, live for truth, and share truth. It will put you in a very small little group of people. And that is why I appreciate you very much. That is why I love to go to my comment section and see one little comment thanking me or giving me an observation or concurring, or even possibly saying, well, I don't think you're completely right on this. That's okay. I'm just glad you're out there, my friend. So I'd like to end this video and once again always point you to the true Jesus, because Billy Graham preached another Jesus, a false Jesus. Love the true Jesus. He is the way, the truth, and the life. End of video.